You're listening to Trip 360 on Mousecapades Radio, sharing your magical moments and spreading pixie dust around the world. The following is an original production of the Mousecapades Radio Network.
Now, from the Mousecapades Studios, here are your hosts.
Happy Friday, Mousecapades listeners. This is Vickie, and I'm here with Rebecca. We pray that you're all staying safe, happy, and healthy. This is episode 1135, and you're listening to the #1 podcast that entertains that space between your ears, the Mousecapades and More podcast.
If you're looking to book a trip, we would be glad to help. Just text Vickie or me, Rebecca, at 636-373-4497, and we will be happy to get with you to design a magical vacation. A small refundable deposit of $200 will hold your Disney resort and ticket package, or we can give you a quote to any location on the planet. So contact us today.
So Rebecca and I both left our homes in the wee hours of the morning to catch flights on April 7th to go to Orlando. And we'd been telling you guys that we were going to cover some spring stuff for you guys, along with some other stuff that we didn't tell you about, so we could kind of surprise you. Rebecca had a shorter flight because she was coming from Georgia, so she got to Florida faster than I did. And she was sweet enough to wait for me. And then we both rode the mirrors to Pop Century. And then once we got checked in, I asked Rebecca if she cared if we got something to eat because I was hungry. I think I had some pistachios or whatever until we got there. So I was pretty hungry. I hadn't eaten since the night before, like a meal. And so we got a pizza. We decided to share it. And then there was half of it left. And if you're like us, you pack Ziploc bags. So we put half the pizza in a Ziploc bag and put it in. We were going to put it in our fridge when we went to our room.
And when we finished eating, we were surprised to find out that our room was ready. It was very early for that, but they had our room ready. So we took our luggage to Building 3, the 50s section of Pop Century. We were right outside the Tramp statue, and we put our stuff down. We headed to Epcot, and we had planned this in advance. So we hopped on the Skyliner so that we could be in the park in just a few minutes. The day was misty off and on, but the temperature was beautiful, and there was a slight breeze, which made our trip very enjoyable. We're going to tell you in one episode everything that we accomplished in 2 days. That's the plan anyway.
And actually, that's probably not going to happen because if you know Rebecca and I, it's not going to happen. We did a lot, though, in 2 days. I was pretty impressed with us.
We did.
So when we arrived at Epcot, I'm going to let Rebecca tell however much she wants to, although I think it would be helpful for some people. She noticed that her DAS pass, you know that she has a DAS pass because she gets nervous in small spaces with lots of people. And there's a lot of people that have that. And her DAS pass was supposed to be on her app until December of 2027. So we went to find one of the umbrellas for somebody to help us.
So what I was told with the DAS pass in December when we went on our December trip was that it was approved and it was good until December of 2027. The confusion apparently happened because I had to renew my annual pass in January, and apparently the renewal of my annual pass did away with the old DAS pass. I have qualified for the DAS pass for a very long time and without any problems. So the person at the Blue Umbrella told me that I was going to have to get on the phone with the original people, the way that you go through about getting your DAS pass. You call, you ask for a meeting, you get on the meeting, then either they give you your DAS pass automatically or they connect you with a medical professional. We were standing right out in the middle of everybody, and I was trying to hear them on the phone, and I was trying to explain to them the situation. The first person I talked to was not the friendliest cast member that I've ever talked to. He did connect me to one of the medical professionals, and for the first time, I was denied the DAS pass. So if you have anxiety, you know that number one, That's going to set you on edge. But number two, being there, people were coming up and talking to the guy with the blue umbrella. People were coming up to take pictures across the park. I was there trying to explain this to people and got very upset, very nervous. Luckily, the guy at the blue umbrella sent us over to guest services, and guest services was able to give me at least a place to go inside alone and talk to them. But again, they denied the DAS pass. They did give me some other suggestions. The first option that I was given was to talk to the person at the beginning of the line as I went in and say, I may need an alternative plan for the line. I may need an accommodation, but I was to get in the line and take note of what time it was. They told me the best thing to do would be to take a picture so that I had a timestamp, come back out and explain to the person that I was going to need an alternate entrance into that ride. And they said it could be that I would go into the handicapped line, the one that they take people who can't leave their scooters or wheelchairs through, or they might give me a time to come back, that it depended on each ride. The second option was to let Vickie stand in line by herself and text me when we were close to the front, and then try to explain to the people all the way through the line why I was coming up through the line. Of course, they said that the person would help me, the cast member that was at the beginning of the line. But I told Vickie, to me, that takes all the pressure off of that medical professional and puts it on those poor, sometimes college students who are trying to run those lines. They don't know what accommodations are necessary. They shouldn't have to know what accommodations are necessary. But it also made it to where I had to explain the situation time and time and time again. And that made me very uncomfortable. And I told them that, and they told me there was nothing else that they could do. So I did try standing in line, and it actually went much better than I anticipated. There's a couple of times during the show that we'll talk about standing in line, and it really didn't bother me. But what I really hate is that there are people who probably need the DAS pass more severely than I do. There are people who have children that really, really can't stand in that line. I mean, it makes me uncomfortable, but some of them, it really, it could impact a lot, and it could impact the whole family's day at Disney. So I really hope that Disney is looking into this. It doesn't sound like they are because they keep meeting about it and nothing changes. But I really hope that Disney will look into this and do something. I know people cheated on the DAS in the past. That's how we got to this situation. But I just don't think it's fair to ask somebody, number one, to explain the situation all day long. And number two, I don't think it's fair on the cast members to have them make that decision.
I don't either. I wouldn't have minded standing by myself, but that's almost penalizing you for something that you can't help. And then you can't be with the people you're with. So then you're by yourself too, which is not always a good thing when you're having a panic attack. And so, yeah, I wasn't real happy about it either. But at the same time, you seemed more calm when you talked to those people. So I felt better because I felt bad because I couldn't do anything for you. And I mean, other than say, I'm so sorry. And, I work with children like that, but it's different when it's your friend and you're like, you just want to like hug you, but sometimes in a panic attack, you don't want to be hugged. And so I just had to weigh out what it was. But no, you did well. I thought I felt bad for you.
And I do. I mean, I'm not going to let it ruin my happy place. I'm not going to, stop going. If I can't handle a line, then I'm going to step out of it. I might attempt to ask for the accommodation, but I hate to, just put it all out there in front of everybody too. I hate for people, to have to hear the story over and over. So I also noticed, and I was telling my husband, Steve, this, those of you that don't know, I have a PhD in special education. And when we were on the Bright Line, which we're going to talk about later, I was just looking over all of the things for Disney's accommodations and their solutions to people who can't qualify for the DAS pass. And they have some pretty major misinformation. They have a section where they talk about cognitive delays and cognitive disorders, and they have autism listed under cognitive disorder. Autism is not a cognitive disorder. It is a neurological disorder, and there's a lot of scientific research behind that. And so I just think Disney is setting themselves up for some really hard times if they don't find someone who can get all the information correct and get people the accommodations that they need.
And honestly, Gina always says they're listening to us. If you're listening to us, Disney, you probably be better hiring somebody like Rebecca that has an education degree in SPED, because they have to know. I mean, I know minimal just because I was a classroom teacher and a special area teacher, and I did sub SPED and I still sub SPED, but I don't know as much as Rebecca does, or anybody that's had to live with fighting for themselves. And even in 30 years of teaching, I saw a variety of autistic kids. And so, yeah, I'm more worried that they're going to get sued because of how they're addressing it.
I am too.
Not because somebody feels like it's unfair, because they're not making accommodations that are being made in the education system. So that doesn't make sense that you wouldn't try to make the same accommodations, but
Right.
that's neither here nor there. But like I said, Rebecca seemed better after she talked to those people. So we did take some pictures, and those were some of the cutest pictures that we had from our trip.
They really were.
He had like a little crate of oranges because, orange bird and everything. And then they put our picture on like a little seed packet. It's just so cute. But we'll move on to the more exciting stuff. But we did need to talk about that because I didn't want Rebecca to get upset again. But I also wanted that to be out there because I do know listeners. We have several that have kids with autism or they themselves have autism. And I want you guys all to have the accommodations that you need wherever you need them. I mean, we make accommodations for allergies, and I'm not saying that we shouldn't, but there's different things for just like diabetics. Disney's not going to force you to eat sugar. I mean, they're not going to, so there's so many things that need to come into play here. And I think we've lost sight of that.
I think so too. On a happier note, though, Epcot looked absolutely gorgeous. The flowers, the topiaries, I felt like they were better than ever. I felt like they were more vibrant. I felt like they had moved some of them around into much better locations. And right away, we saw Peter Pan and Captain Hook. And that's one of my favorites because if you've never seen it, Captain Hook has his sword out and TikTok, the crocodile, is there. And TikTok really stood out for me this time. I thought that everything, like I said, the colors were just amazing. We saw those right away. We saw the Heffalump and Tinkerbell. And then we saw the Winnie the Pooh characters, including Rabbit, who is my favorite.
And they need to get more merchandise.
Again, Disney, if you're listening, there's no Rabbit merchandise in the parks. So that could be an easy fix. But Rabbit looked adorable, along with Piglet, Eeyore, Pooh, Tigger. And then at that point, we started heading over toward Canada, and I'll let Vickie take over.
So then we got to see Miss Piggy and Kermit, and Rebecca was dying laughing because Kermit's legs are so long, riding his bicycle. You said it reminded you of something, but I can't remember what you said.
One of the Muppet movies, and it was the first one that I ever saw as a child. Kermit was riding a bicycle, and his legs were sticking straight out. And it just looked so funny, and it just made me think of that scene in the Muppet movie.
Because when you see a real frog, if their legs are spread out like that, they're probably dead because frogs' legs don't do that.
That's right.
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be graphic or anything, but that's true. We also saw Goofy, and it was really cute. And Rebecca's right. I don't know if because we did talk about this on our trip in December when we noticed, actually, it was my trip in February, I guess, that we noticed that the greenery and stuff wasn't as green because they had such a harsh winter in Florida. And I don't know if they just purchased extra vibrant plants or what they did to get them to do that, but everything stood out better this time, which made the pictures gorgeous. I put the reel on our Facebook page if you haven't watched it. It was amazing. But one of the cool things is the flowers that they do around the water, which is in front of the orb, but underneath where the monorail goes around. Oh my gosh, what a beautiful picture with that. And so they make a flower out of a flower and they make Mickey head out of the flowers. And then they put these little tubs of flowers in the water. And one of the vloggers I was watching said, why do they do that? Why don't they leave those in there all the time and only do it at the flower festival? Because yes, it makes it special for that time, but there's so many other things like the topiaries and stuff that make it special. It wouldn't be too bad to leave those flowers in the water all the time. But
I agree. And one thing we didn't mention when we were in Britain, in England, was the tea garden.
oh yeah.
If you walk through the tea garden, it's really, really neat because they have different tea recipes. Like there was a one that had all the things growing for chai tea, and there was one that had things growing that would go with peach tea. And it was really, really neat. And it's really fun to see. Tea is just not something that I'm used to seeing, blooming and growing. And it also smells amazing.
It does. In fact, today I had breakfast with my mom and she said, whenever the next time we go to Disney, I need some tea from that tea store. And I was like, Mom, I think we can buy that tea other places. And she goes, are you sure? Because I think you can only buy it at Disney World. I'm like, well, we're going next week. So I guess I could get you tea while I'm there.
That's funny. So as we were headed down from Canada, we did stop at a place that had a drink that was just too intriguing to walk past. It was a frozen peach cobbler drink. And Vickie had the one, just the regular frozen peach cobbler. I had the one that had vodka in it. After my DAS experience, we figured a little bit of alcohol might help calm me down. But it was very delicious. It was sweet. It had little graham cracker crumbles in it. And it really did taste like peach cobbler.
I think hers was better than mine, but I just got the non-alcoholic version. We went to Communicore Hall after that. If you don't know where that is, it's the section where the old Starbucks used to be before they ripped it down. Inside there, they had gorgeous, huge flowers. And Rebecca was having VBS vibes from last year because I know their theme was big flowers, big bees, big everything. And was it Magnify? Was that your thing?
It was Magnify.
Okay, I thought so. Everything was supposed to be large inside, kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids situation. Yeah. But it was beautiful in there. That place was pretty dead, actually. We know that's not going to be the case because, kids' time is coming to dance with Goofy and have goofy time in Communicore Hall. But that was nice, and we enjoyed that.
Yes, and they had lots of cute orange bird things in there, lots of different merchandise that had orange bird. And I know Vickie wanted those ears, but she was good. She just didn't get them.
Rebecca got ears before we left, and I wanted you to know my mom goes, did you buy those ears? And I said, no, those are just Rebecca's. And she's like, oh, I like those ears. And then I was like, I guess I could get them for her.
I wanted those ears last year, and I looked all over the place and could not find them. They're the ones that are for the Garden and Flower Festival, but they're Alice in Wonderland, and I love Alice in Wonderland. So this time when I saw them on the Disney store, I was like, I'm getting them ahead of time.
I was surprised. I didn't know that she would like those so much, but she saw your ears and she's like, did you get these too? She was so excited. So funny.
So outside of Communicore Hall, we saw the Encanto characters. We saw Mufasa and Nala, Rafiki and Simba. We saw the characters of the new Pixar movie, Hoppers.
They were made out of hard poster board, though.
Yes, they weren't flowers. They were made out of hard poster board, which was a little strange.
I didn't know if it was they decided last minute to add it.
I don't know.
And so that's how they did that. But it did look really cute because it was in a flowery area.
Right. And then I wanted to go to the Seas Pavilion because I love manatees. And I know there were some resident manatees that stayed for a very long time there, but now Disney is doing more of like quick rehabilitations. And I knew that there were some new manatees to see. So we headed that way. And that's when we saw the very cute Pluto topiary.
That was one of my favorite ones. His little, what do you call that? Collar around his neck was extra vibrant red. And then his little house, and his fire hydrant was hilarious.
Yes. And I think they had moved him too. I don't think he was there last year at that area.
No, he wasn't. He used to be more in the center area over near the popcorn place where near the bridge to the water where we bought Thumper next to the Creations shop.
Yes.
Yeah, he used to be. They moved a lot of them around, and I think it was good because some people had never seen them before.
Right. So we went into the pavilion, the Seas Pavilion, and we visited. There are three manatees there now. They were feeding them. You could see the lettuce and cabbage floating in the water. It was feeding time. So we got really good views of all three of them.
I didn't know there were three too, so that was fun.
Yeah.
So then Rebecca said, "Oh, we should go ride Spaceship Earth." Well, it sounded a good idea because it was supposed to be just a 15-minute wait, and we got in the line. And the line I thought looked longer. Well, then it wasn't moving. And then Rebecca noticed that her phone was dying, and we're like, yeah, maybe we should go take care of your phone because we have a lot longer left of this day. And I asked her if she cared. And so we went real quick in the front of the orb and got all the pictures up there because Toy Story 5 is coming out. They had Lotso, Bo Peep, the sheep, Woody, Buzz, and the Pixar ball. And then, of course, the icon of Epcot or whatever you want to say, their little, what do they call him? His mascot. The mascot of Epcot is Figment. And so there was a really cute display of them. So we got all those pictures. And then we went to find a place for Rebecca to sit and have a little charge. But her phone lasts longer than mine because she's like, oh, I got 15%. I'll be good for the rest of the night. And I was like, 15%? That'll be lasting me for 2 minutes.
It was also extremely windy. It's always windy right there next to Spaceship Earth, but it was extremely windy in that line. So
Yeah.
that was another reason that I was like, sure, let's go. And if you haven't checked out the pictures on our Facebook page or on Instagram, the picture of the sheep is hilarious because we almost didn't notice the sheep because it's like the sheep are looking out of a bush. So you have the greenery of the bush, and then their little heads are poking out, and we almost didn't see them
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious. But yes, go back and watch that reel. I can throw pictures up individual too because some people were like, that reel was so fast. I couldn't see everything.
So after the short charging break, we were able to get pictures of Phineas and Ferb, Mickey, Minnie, Pluto, Chip and Dale, and then the Moana topiaries. Those were the ones that were at the front of the park last year.
Yes.
So those had been relocated for Toy Story.
Then across from the Moana topiaries, and I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of the booth, but it literally is like diagonal from it. There was a booth there that had this chocolate mousse terrarium that I had seen on one of the vlogs that I had watched. And I said, oh, I'm going to get that one. And so I went and got it. And it's basically chocolate mousse with like Oreo cookie crumbles and then edible flowers on the top. Now, I have to tell you, the picture looked much prettier than mine. Mine had one flower and the picture had 2 or 3 different colored flowers, but it was still fine. And then Rebecca walked across from that to the Mexican kiosk and got chocolate flan. And so we both tasted those. The mousse was very, very rich. So if you get there before it's over, just know you need to be sharing it for somebody because Rebecca took one bite and she was like, okay, I'm good. And I was like, I can't eat this whole thing. So I didn't because I wasn't going to make myself sick. But it is very tasty, but I recommend having 2 or 3 people to eat that because it was so rich.
Right. And the flan was amazing. It was chocolate and hazelnut, and it was very tasty because I've never had flan that was any flavor before other than what they normally make it.
Right.
And it was very, very tasty. So while we were in Mexico, we decided to ride the Grand Fiesta Tour. There was a little bit of a line, but we didn't wait more than about 10 minutes. I just wish that they could find a way to get that line a little more streamlined, I guess,
Yes.
inside of the Mexican pavilion because it gets a little bit crazy with people trying to shop and then people not knowing where the line is.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to see them streamline that, but I'm not sure how in that small of an area.
Yeah.
But the Fiesta Tour is so fun.
Yeah. Since they made the changes and they repainted like they did with the ride we'll talk about sometime in this podcast, I think making it more vibrant and everything made it more fun.
I think so too.
And actually, one of my clients just said that that was her son's like favorite. He loved and giggled and enjoyed it so much. So
It is fun.
We did spot the Anna and Elsa topiaries in Norway when we were going there, and Rebecca checked the time to see how long it was, and we were like 45 minutes. Well, we had moved our reservation up because we had not had anything since like 11 o'clock that morning, and we were going to be late for our reservation if we didn't keep moving. We couldn't wait 45 minutes for a ride, which was sad, but just how it works out sometimes. On our way to Japan, we saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, and this is again what we were talking about. Whatever they did to them to make them more visible this year, last year, when I took the picture, it kind of was like they blended in with the other greenery that was there, and people couldn't really, like, I had to point them out to my mom. And today she was like, oh, these are much better pictures. Well, it had nothing to do with my pictures as much as that they looked better. Because last year I felt like they were camouflaged almost. And that's really not how it was supposed to be.
I think they had also moved those. They were over next to the water, or maybe they were there last year. I can't remember.
They were by the water last year.
So they were in the same area, but they looked very different. They looked amazing. We did not do the official Easter egg search this year, but we did locate a few of the eggs along the way. That's super fun to do. And we took pictures of those. We found the blue bunny and the chick from Toy Story 4 on our way to Japan. We got to Japan a little early, and Vickie showed me a very nice, relaxing place to just go chill near the Japanese garden. I didn't even know there were tables back there. I guess I should have known because that's where you come out if you get some of the food in the Japan pavilion, the quick serve. But there's some tables back there, and it is so nice and quiet. There's a nice breeze. It was lovely.
And so our reservation came and it was time for us to go. And it came quicker than I thought. Like I signed us in and then it came because it's not that we were far away. We were in the Japan pavilion area. But if you've ever been to Teppanado, which is where we were going, we had to climb, I don't know, 24 steps or something like that to get up. And so it's not like you can do like Rocky and run up them to get to your reservation. But when we got there, the lady was calling my name. She was like, black for two, and I'm like, you just sent me the text. But anyway, but Rebecca wanted to go here. I have been here several times with my family, but Rebecca had not. So I'm going to let her speak to it.
All right, so it is a hibachi restaurant. They have beautiful looking sushi as well. It's a wonderful place to go on a date, wonderful place to go by yourself or with family and friends. Our chef was extra entertaining. She did a very good job with the food. And when she made the traditional onion volcano, she made it into a Mickey train. It was so cute. And their noodles were amazing. I think those were the best noodles I've ever had at a Japanese steakhouse.
Well, we met a couple and a little boy from New York, and shout out to them. They never told us their names, but shout out if you're listening. And they told us to get the mushroom enhancement. Now, the idea of that for my husband would probably make him sick because he doesn't like that I love mushrooms so much. But it was this variety of mushrooms that I'd never had before. So I added it to my meal, and you can ask Rebecca. It was so good. I would definitely get that again. So if you like mushrooms, get it.
And those extra mushrooms, like, they were beautiful. They were some of them had really long stems, some had really short tops and really small tops, and some had big tops. So it was neat to see the different mushrooms, but it also was very yummy. So after dinner, we continued our way, headed around the World Showcase, and we noticed the pink bunny egg on the side of a building in Morocco. There was an awesome spice garden there with things growing like parsley, marigolds, peppers, chives, black pepper, which I also have never seen growing, mint, and they had an olive tree.
Which was cool.
Yes.
And so then we got to the France Pavilion and we grabbed the photos of Beauty and the Beast, Lumiere, and Cogsworth. And if you could compare my pictures, maybe I should put them up like that, my pictures from last year versus this year, you'll see the brilliance that we're talking about in the colors of those topiaries, because they were definitely different.
Yes.
They were so pretty. And then while we were there, we also saw Rebecca's favorite character from Winnie the Pooh, Rabbit, his egg. We found him in the garden behind Lumiere. And we went to check out the time of Remy's when Rebecca spotted that Remy's has a single rider line. So we got to ride I think it was a 45-minute wait, and we did it in less than 10 minutes because we chose to ride by ourselves. And it was no big deal because it's not like you have to be by the person you're with. And we were in and out because there's always odd numbers of people.
Yep. So I thought that was great because I was ready to stand there for 45 minutes, but when I spotted that, we headed over. So then we hopped back on the Skyliner and we headed to Pop Century to get some rest. It was close to 8:30. Both of us had been up since about 2:30, 3 a.m. So we were ready for some rest after that.
And like we predicted, we can't do 2 days on one show. If you're interested in being a guest on our show or you have a question or comment, just text us at 636-373-4497. You can check us out on our social media account, the Mousecapades and More Travel LLC, and the Mousecapades and More podcast on Facebook.
And if you would like a free quote, you can contact us at 636-373-4497.
And I don't want to butt in on Rebecca, but I do want to tell you that the 2027 dates are out. We reminded you that on Rumors and News, and we are booking like crazy. So it's filling up. Now, it's not going to be full, obviously, but if you have dates in mind, get that $200 down on a package. You can always move it if something changes. Be sure to listen to Wednesday's show as we dish all the latest rumors and news and chat with the gang.
And if you could go to Apple, Stitcher Radio, Podbean, or Spotify and give us a rating and a comment, we would really appreciate it.
As always, thanks for listening to the #1 podcast that entertains that space between your ears, the Mousecapades and More podcast. Well, Rebecca, I think it's about that time. Disney love.
Second star to the right. Have a magical day, my friends.
Wherever I wander, wherever I roam, I couldn't be fonder of my big home. The bees are buzzing in the trees to make some honey just for me. When you look under the rocks and the plants and you take a glance at the fancy ants and then maybe try a few, the bare necessities of life will come to you. They will come to you. They will come to you.